Hello geometers, this is Miss Backfish and I'm here to talk to you. A lot of times we talk about this at about the same time like arc length. The sector area is looking for the area of just a piece of the circle, a chunk of the circle. Just like arc length is usually looking for, or is always looking for, just a piece of the distance around the circumference. The arc length is a part of the circumference. Well, the sector area, as you might imagine, is a part of the circle's area. Okay, so we're just basically finding a piece of the circle's area instead of the whole area. Okay, just part of the circle. So that means we're finding part of the area of the circle, which is pi r squared. Pi r squared is the formula for, and the size of the piece depends on this angle. How much of the circle do we want? So it's like it's telling us what, for instance, if this was 90 degrees, 90 out of 360, that's a quarter of the circle. So that I would say 1/4 of the area is the area of this chunk. If it was 180 out of 360, that would be half the circle. So I would want half the area of the whole circle. So here's the formula we're using. It looks very much like the one for arc length. The only difference is, here's the fraction. And what I want for the sector area is a fraction of, right here is the big difference. For arc length, I would say a fraction of the circumference. Here I'm saying a fraction of the circle area. Pi r squared is the formula for the circle's area. And a lot of times we use the Greek letter theta to stand for our angle. So that's the formula we're going to use. Okay, so number one here, find the area of each sector. Give answers both in terms of pi, which by the way we sometimes call exact form, and as a decimal. It does not tell us what to round to. We should always look for that. So we'll probably round to the hundredths place. Number one, it's a little hard to read. This is a 60-degree central angle, and the radius is 11 miles. I'm really not that concerned with the units. So I'm going to use this formula right here. And the way I usually use it is I usually say sector area equals the angle out of 360. That tells me what part of the circle I have, times pi r squared, the whole area. So I'm going to plug in the 60 right here, and I'm going to plug in the 11 right over here. So my sector area is 60 out of 360 times pi times 11 squared. And then I'm ready to put it in the calculator. If I have this kind of calculator, it simplifies everything for me pretty nicely. Otherwise, I could do some more simplifying myself. If I wanted to, I could change this fraction to 1/6, because it is 1/6, and make this 121 pi. And then I just have 1/6 of 121 pi. But I'll go ahead and type it in the way it's written, just to show you. Plus, sorry, it's not plus, it's times pi times 11 squared. And we get 121 pi over 6. Now, if I wanted to make that a decimal, which I do, I want it both ways, that's the exact form. I can use this button right here to change that to a decimal. It's the one right above enter. So my answer in exact form is 121 pi over 6. And as a decimal rounded to the hundredths place is 63.36. I'm writing that one down first because I'm going to forget it. And 121 pi over 6. Again, this is exact form. This is a decimal approximation. If we had to round, it's an approximation. So sometimes we use these little squiggly, sort of like a squiggly equal sign to say it's approximately equal to that. All right, next one. My angle is 225 degrees. My radius is 4 centimeters. So I'm still going to plug into this same formula. And I'm not going to rewrite it because it's right here. The sector area is what I'm looking for. So I will write that. Equals my angle, which is 220, 5 over 360. Remember, that's what theta stands for. Here's the angle. Times pi times r squared, 4 squared. So if I wanted to, I could reduce this fraction. I could go ahead and write that as 16, or I can just type it in the way it is. So I've got 225 over 360. Especially if you're not using a calculator like this, just be very careful about how you type in terms of order of operations. One way to think of this is if you are multiplying a fraction times a number that's not written as a fraction, it's like that's over 1. So you're multiplying all the way across the numerators, and then you're going to divide by what's in the denominator. So I get 10 pi here. That's my exact form answer. And if I want to change that to a decimal, I get about 31.42. And that's centimeters if we do want to worry about the units. And back here that was miles, I guess it was. Miles. All right, last but not least, our third example, still using the same formula, but I'm not trying to find the sector area anymore, which means I plug in a little differently. It says find the radius, not the sector area. So here's my equation. And it's just what's different about this one is what's missing. So you just plug in what you have and solve for what's missing. So this is telling me that the area of this sector is 59 square inches. So I have this sector area. The 40 degrees is telling me my theta. So I have that. What I don't know is r. So I can't fill that in. So this is what I'm solving. What I think I'll do first, and I'm going to rewrite this spaced out a little bit, is I'm going to get rid of this fraction, the 40 over 360, by multiplying by 360 over 40. And what that does is it cancels that. So on the left here, I have 360 over 40, which, by the way, is 9, times 59. That gives me 531. So on the left, I have 531 equals, and over here, I just have pi r squared. Now, remember, what I'm trying to find is r. So the next thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by pi, trying to get r by itself. 531 divided by pi. And on this one, I think it's probably, we might as well just do a decimal, is 169.02. So that's what we have here on the left. I'm going to leave this in my calculator because the next thing I have to do to find r is to take the square root. And so I'm going to go ahead and take the square root while it's still there in all of its long decimal glory. Excuse the bell, please. And the square root of that is about 13, very close to 13. So let me go ahead and write that out. 169.02 approximately is r squared. And when I take the square root of both sides there, I get r is 13. And that is my answer. I hope this has helped you understand sector area, and I will see you later.